Imagine if you had to be sober for 30 days before you could vote. Hey guys, John with Alpha Channel here on Monday, May 27th, 2024, Memorial Day in Los Angeles. And I do have a few things to show you, a few things I want to talk about. I'm going to stay away from the politics, although I'm going to touch on it right away here in the beginning. I watched a little bit of Trump's interview with Tim Pool. The guys on Comicsgate Kings were watching it. Some of the guys, I think it was Paul, the animation illustrator and commercial illustrator, who mentioned that both political wings are two wings of the same bird. That's perfect. It's a completely corrupt system. You can't trust anyone involved. Don't believe anything they say. So that said, he was and probably still is the closest thing to a hand grenade that this system has ever seen. We are doing Alpha Channel hand grenades, hand-painted hand grenades. Going to sell probably 100 of this nuclear bomb version before we do a different version. I did try to paint these with glow paint. Basically what I did is I mixed a bunch of glow powder with matte black paint, and it doesn't glow. It's just black. I've got 4 of them. They dried in like 2 seconds, but they don't glow in the dark. So, you know. I will definitely make the explosion glow in the dark. That's going to be easy. That's going to be really easy. I have a huge thing of paint right here. Check out all these paints. All kinds of colors. Glow in the dark green, glow in the dark yellow, glow in the dark orange, glow in the dark blue. These are all glow in the darks. Glow in the dark pink, 5 kinds of glow in the dark pink, glow in the dark purple. So I can make a decent explosion with these, and whatever's not in there is in this collection of gouache paints from my first girlfriend here in Los Angeles over 20 years ago, who went to FITM, the Fashion Institute in downtown. She probably maybe even inherited these from someone else. I suppose with water they might work. They're not all dead. I have some ink and stuff too. We'll see what we can do. I owe her a lot. I don't want to say her name in case she ends up associated with me. The live hand grenade in everybody's life. So, Trials of Ash, Legacy of a Mad Scientist here on YouTube. 13 hours of a great audiobook for you, for your free audiobook pleasure and listening. Legend of Ashley Fox. A 14, 15-year-old girl is forced to team up with a bunch of orphans to fight off a gang of serial killers. Another magnificent free audiobook here for you on YouTube. So every one of these, I'm giving something for free. An entire day of some of the best entertainment you maybe have ever had. I challenge you to listen to both of my novels and recommend something better. Here's a blue line picture of Warren about to try a trick. This was I did this afternoon. Here's a penciled version that was blue line yesterday. Didn't have any features or clothes. It was just a figure. Same thing here. No features or clothes. These were just blue lines yesterday. And this. Same thing. No, is that? Oh, I'm holding it sideways. Here we go. This is Warren when he crashes the first time. This is when he crashes the second time. As you can imagine, the easiest thing to do with a skateboarding book is my guys are just going to crash all the time. They're just going to be broken up. By the time he finally lands the trick, he's going to be covered in bandages. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. I'm really excited about doing this comic. I can do single pages of this forever. And then having them talk nonsense to each other is going to be even more fun. So one thing I wanted to mention, yesterday's update was pretty cringe. Yesterday's update was very not alpha. It was extremely beta. Just the energy was really low. I think I've been really kind of sensitive to my downstairs neighbors. I don't want to yell too much, which is another good reason to keep these short. So in hopes of keeping this short, we are going to do a Wildwood Tarot card today because I've been missing these. You know, the reason I bought this, the reason I buy tarot decks is not for some esoteric divination sort of thing. I'm not really into that. This is just a massive art dump for only a few bucks. You know, it's like $10, $15, and you get this huge selection of all these. Okay, so today's card is, wow, this is really nice. The Five of Vessels, Ecstasy. Look at that. So you get all these cards, you get all this amazing art for like 10 or 15 bucks. Tarot cards are underrated. Magic the Gathering, I've never got into playing that. I don't know how to play it. I wouldn't want to collect the... So I had kind of an issue with being a speculator on comic books. It really made me feel disgusting inside, but that's why these guys behind me out here, these plushies are out here. And when it comes to Magic the Gathering cards, I couldn't do that either. I couldn't be a speculator with art. I hate that. I mean, it's like the thing about Comicsgate. Do I want to buy 5 of Black Riding Hood and then sell it at a profit? Not really. I mean, I don't. I know there's people who do, but I'm not really into that. And then, you know, when you start thinking about art that way, then handling the books, you feel like you're damaging it. And that would be the same thing with cards. That's why tarot decks, I can buy those just for the art. There's no speculation value there. It's not like Magic the Gathering or anything like that. And that's what leads me to this. Because these comics, this was from Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion and Werther Dell'Edera. And I made these plushies to make a short film of it. And this one was going to be able to give you things through his mouth, like let's say this clear ruler, you know, like magically, like do an After Effects effect or whatever. Oh, I have to unzip the back one, don't I? And so then like a sword or something, he could, you know, make it look magical, but it would still be a practical effect. And I was going to do a short film because I've got this neckerchief over here. COVID was going on. It was a perfect time. I did a bunch of storyboards for it. And the other thing is, being a speculator, that book, the first 11 issues of that book, paid my rent for 2 years. Not every month, but whenever I needed a car payment, I would just sell another one. $500. It was amazing. It messes you up inside. On one hand, you feel like you won the lottery because, oh, there's a book that is obviously going to be a huge hit and no one recognizes it yet. And on the other hand, there's all this cultural stuff going on around at the same time. And speculating on comics always, that did feel like winning the lottery a little bit, but because of everything that else is going on, I don't think that's gotten the recognition it deserves. The concept, the way it would have in the 90s or 2000s, that concept would already be a cartoon and a TV show. Anyhow, I'm going to move on from that really quick. What I'm going to talk about really relates to that at the same time. Say, for example, one of the things I want to mention is that in ancient Rome is when they started schools for children. And one of the chief complaints of the adults was, what are children, you're going to put children in a building with other children all day. What are children going to learn from other children? Because mostly children were taught by their parents. So you could relate that not just to children today, what are children going to learn from other children, but what are wage slaves going to learn from other wage slaves? You have to get out of that. You have to get out of it. You have to start making your own money, your own business, your own living. You've got to stop depending on an employer. These employers are clowns too. They're struggling just as much as you are. And when things go wrong for them, everyone loses their job. So as much as it sucks, as much as you might want to just draw or just ink or just, work your job, whatever that is, if you've got an employer, you've got to get out of there. You've got to find a way to do it on your own. And that brings me to the third thing I want to talk about today. I don't have an example for it here, but all I have to do is say the word. Oh, here's an example. This is perfect. Do you know why this became the most valuable thing in the world? Because it doesn't tarnish. And rich people are inherently lazy. And they don't want to tarnish the fancy metal on their walls. They don't want to polish the fancy metal on their walls. They don't want to pay someone to do it. And if they can just do it with gold, isn't that easier? And if you're just going to fix things with gold, why not just make everything of gold? Why not just have a big chunk of gold? Because that's not what the world is. The way the world is, gold is what you use to fix something broken. Because of the value of gold, because of the laziness of rich people, if you use gold to paint if you have a piece of this, they do this in Japan quite often, piece of broken pottery, you cement, when you repair it, you cement it with gold. You glue it, you put gold into the glue and glue it together. And that way it becomes even more beautiful than it was before it broke. This is probably the only thing I have. This is the only thing I have in this color. But the point is that not only can you fix things with gold, you can fix people with gold. And if you hoard it, you can't fix anything. Does that make sense? This is different than from the needs of the many, and how does it go? The communist thing. From the wants of the many to the needs of the few, or whatever the communist needs and wants bullshit is. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the difference between greed for laziness' sake and greed for progress's sake. And that stops being greed then. And when you're doing art for progress's sake, that's honestly, in some ways, laziness. And in some ways, it's kind of a good thing I needed to wait until the end of my career to really start, my own business in art, because I've learned all the lessons I needed to learn. If I was younger doing this publicly, I'd be making bigger mistakes than yesterday, than just having a bad hair day. I'd be making much bigger mistakes than that publicly. And some of those mistakes are very hard to recover from. So you have to constantly address your faults. You have to address your faults before anybody else can. And not to just make fun of them, not to beat them to the punch, just to recognize where you can come up. And that's why I do appreciate how good doing this is every day, is because you need to keep your energy up. You need to, I haven't done my workout yet for today. I'm supposed to do shoulders today. And maybe I'll do it after this. Today could be a day off. Today could be a rest day. It's a 3-day on, 1 day off rest day instead of 4-day on, 1 day off rest day. 4 days is better. We'll see. I've got a long day tomorrow. If I work out tonight, I will definitely work out tomorrow before, So I've got a long day with nothing to do tomorrow. So we'll see. One more thing I want to mention. Here's an idea for you, everyone. alphachannel.games. Imagine this. Imagine if you had to be sober for 30 days before you could vote. Wouldn't that be cool? What would this country look like if everyone had to be sober for 30 days before they could vote? Everybody! That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, yeah. Okay, so the next piece about this, when a culture uses gold to to fix the broken things in their world, and you run across something that's unbroken, it becomes really apparent. When you're stronger in the broken places, that's when money becomes less important and less crucial. If on some levels, everyone is a success and everyone is a failure, right? You can find any guy with a lot of money, and maybe even, a lot of guys with a lot of money aren't necessarily in great shape. A lot of guys in great shape don't necessarily have the best relationships with other people. A lot of people who have great relationships with other people sometimes don't necessarily have, there's a lot of things you can have besides health, money, and relationships. But those three are really pretty important. And it's hard to have all three. It's hard to maintain all three. You can be successful in a lot of different ways in your life. Professionally at one thing and not at another. Imagine being professionally successful at something you hate doing. Can you learn to love that for the other people in your life? Some people can. Some people do. Some people do. I've had jobs that I didn't love, but I don't know. What's the point in saying I don't know a lot, Getting to a spot where you're happy, it's not just a decision. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of hard work. You have to fail at a lot of things to realize that what it takes for you to be successful. And then once you know how long it takes you to level up to be successful at something, and you try different things over and over and over again, and you're able to level up, that gives you a confidence beyond confidence. That gives you certainty. I have a certainty that I know that with enough time and practice, I can accomplish almost anything a human being can accomplish. Maybe not to expert level, but certainly to getting paid for it level. That's being professional is not necessarily a high bar, especially these days. So take that, with a grain of salt. Technically, all you have to do is be a D student to get a job. The passing grade gets you a job. So that's how you get better. And to do a studio, we're going to do everything. We're going to do art. We're going to do art, merch, novels, posters. I don't think we'll do music. We're going to license the music or find musicians. A man's got to know his limitations, and I can't do music. That is beyond my reach. But that's okay. I also can't do flips. So when it comes to martial arts, that's my other limit. I've never been able to do. I can do a spring up, like the push up off your back, like the ab thing, and jump up. I can also do a handstand from the ground, like sit up, do a handstand, and come over. But I can't do a flip, like Scott Adkins can. Scott Adkins said that when he was shooting Wolverine Origins, he was a stunt double for Ryan Reynolds at the end when Hugh Jackman and Liv Schreiber fight Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That's Scott Adkins in the suit. Scott Adkins, the amazing martial artist, who I think should have been Bruce Wayne. Still could be Bruce Wayne. Scott Adkins still could be Bruce Wayne. He's not too old for that part. But yeah, he said that when he was doing the fight scenes, that the extra weight of the mask, the Deadpool mask, threw off his flips. And I've noticed that doing jumps with the skateboard, I'm getting to the point now that when I jump up, time kind of stops, and I have that brief moment to position my feet before I come back down. It's taken me quite a long time to get there, but now I'm stretching that moment out a little bit more. Every time I jump, that moment gets a little longer. Sometimes I get more air. I'm doing better squats. I'm jumping higher. So learning things, there's nothing as good as learning things. This is the Alpha Channel lesson for today. Don't stop learning. Don't master one craft and stop. Keep learning new things. Keep learning things. Keep adding to your skill set. If you think you know everything, go learn how to pick locks. Do you know how to pick locks? I don't. I want to. That's definitely a skill set I want to know. I want to learn French. I learned Japanese. I can't speak it anymore. I probably never was fluent conversationally, but I could have ordered in a restaurant. I had a couple of dreams in it, so yeah, just keep learning. That is the Alpha Channel lesson for today. And that's going to have to be it. So this is getting long. All right. Love you guys. See you later.